Synchronicity University has an absolutely incredible May series coming up, and this is not to be missed. Superstar astrologers are going to be with us, and all right now at Choose Your Tuition Rate, as low as just $5 a class, an unheard of rate to learn from these astrologers. I will be teaching the definitive relationship course coming up with my favorite techniques. ALEJO LOPEZ teaching a widely requested topic on midpoints, harmonics, and aspects. And Michael Luton's previous course on his favorite techniques is going to be available as a digital download. And as a bonus, you get a live Q&A class that he and I are going to do together. And look at this speaker series and these incredible astrologers, including a real superstar in astrology today, the one and only Gemini Brett. All of these incredible programs are available right now for as low as just $5 a class, an unheard of rate. Our very famous Choose Your Tuition Rate at onlysynchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. I look forward to seeing you in class. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of April 21st, 2024. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. Boy, is this a very special time. And there are powerful energies at play as we begin this week. Chances are a lot of people in our lives are going to be feeling in some ways on edge or just frustrated, with an acknowledgement of where they have power, but also the limits of that power as well. And a lot of this comes down to the fact that we have a powerful full moon set to take place in the sign of Scorpio. This full moon is distinct, not only because it is in the sign of Scorpio, particularly intense energy in the zodiac, but also that it is involved in a larger configuration that astrologers call a T-square. And this is where we get the moon on one side and then the sun on the other, because that's what a full moon is, when the moon stands across the sky from the sun. But you can see that there's also this anchor here, and that is Pluto, setting up this larger configuration of tension and that much more frustration than just a simple square might bring. It is the energy of Scorpio that speaks to our very deep connections to others, the power that we give and the power that we deny others might have, especially over how it is that we feel. It has to do with a sense of being in situations, especially with the square of Pluto to this full moon, a larger T-square no less. In one way or another, I think a lot of us are going to feel like our buttons get pushed. That in some way and in an instant, vulnerabilities are exposed and we feel open in ways that may be decidedly uncomfortable for us. There's such a strong desire for change at this time, and yet there's also a need to be strategic. And finding that right balance can be really challenging when it feels like change isn't coming quickly enough. The energy of Scorpio does promise a regenerative quality. It gives us a chance to really look at what we are holding on to, including the baggage, if you will. And what is baggage? Ultimately, it is holding on to matters of the past, emotional burdens, holding on to identities or responsibilities that are not ours to take on. It gives us an opportunity here to have a depth of understanding and appreciation into ourselves. When it is that we're willing to at least sit with what it is that we feel and acknowledge where we're actually holding that baggage, where we didn't even want to acknowledge the weight of them at all. There's also something to be said for acknowledging that you have a choice and yet choosing to engage. And what I mean by that is it can become very easy at certain points in time. We have a moment, it feels challenging. Certain alliances with other people can feel difficult. And so we decide to wash our hands of them instead of doing the work that change requires. And when it is that we're willing to work on ourselves in particular, when it is that we're willing to acknowledge what it is that we are feeling in particular, it is incredible how from that place, we're actually doing work. We're transforming the self, and in being able to at least admit what it is that we're really feeling, we might just change our opinion, our perception, and our energy around it without necessarily demanding that anyone else be different as they are. We really have very little, if any, control over anyone else. It's sort of the way of the world. Control itself often can feel like an illusion because almost always it really is. And as much as there are moments when we can feel very much at the forefront of what it is that we want to change, where it is we feel powerful, and moving our lives in the direction that we choose, the converse is also true. That there are going to be times in life when we are confronted with how powerless we might actually be, especially in given areas of life. But admitting that we are powerless often can be the very first step towards allowing magic to take place. And I don't say that lightly. And so one of the reasons I say that is because the energy of Scorpio in and of itself represents alchemy and the alchemical process. There's a wonderful understanding, a description that's simple and profound to be found in the book, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It was this, hugely popular, far-reaching book. What today we would call going viral. That's what this book did way back in the 90s. And it is the process, the journey of alchemy that is actually really old. It goes back millennia, and it is a desire to turn lead into gold. We now understand that as a metaphor, as if we are carrying lead itself. Well, it is now that we get to contemplate and consider how actually, with our perception changing, with our approach changing, we might just watch those burdens turn into a source of wealth, a source of pride, a source of confidence as well. And that doesn't mean that anybody else has to be different. It only means that we trust that whatever it is that we're feeling in this moment is part of aligning us with greater love and greater wisdom. And it absolutely is. And it is in a massively important way. It is going to be on Thursday that Mercury goes direct. And Mercury this week is going to, for the most part, be standing still in the sky. And while Mercury is standing still throughout this week, is doing so hand in hand with the North Node. This is incredibly important. When planets meet the North Node in the sky, it is as if a doorway opens from which new people, places, things, situations enter, which represent karmic blessings. I know I've been talking about this a lot this month because we've had key connections of big planets. Like the sun on the 5th of April met the North Node in the sky. And then on the 17th of April, last week, it was Venus that met the North Node in the sky. Mercury has now returned to where he was, going all the way back to the 19th of March. That was when Mercury moved into shadow, meeting the North Node in the sky. But at that time, it was fleeting. It was quick moving. But now it's different because what we have now is Mercury just hanging out, not going anywhere, just staying. And as much as this energy is valuable in and of itself, it is in some way in our own lives going to hearken to what was taking place for us way back, right around the 19th of March. In fact, whatever's happening for us this week, and especially in the last days of the week, is going to help us to see what was taking place in the middle of March differently. In some cases, very differently at this time. Now, this can also be important in how it awakens these previous important North Node conjunction dates I just gave you. So I talked about the 5th of April with the Sun in the North Node, the 17th of April, Venus in the North Node, and the North Node has been right about 15 degrees this whole time. And so now with Mercury here, just hanging out, well, you can see it's almost like bringing a more intellectual, a more mind, a more conversational, a more synchronistic oriented approach to that doorway, that understanding of where it is that we are knowing ourselves and our core differently. And that is helping to welcome in the new and the next, where we are understanding love and art and beauty and our own heart differently. And that is helping to welcome in the new and the next. It is now that we get these beautiful energies. Yes, some of them feel messy. I do want to be straightforward with you. That full moon in Scorpio in a T-square with Pluto is going to feel complex and challenging, and it is going to bring right to the surface where, whether in the past or the present, we have felt very deep wounds. We have felt deep senses of unfairness. And in some extreme cases, we'll be very aware of manipulation and truly what feels like injustices that might have taken place. Now, this might feel relevant in our own lives, in our own individual journeys. It might go way back to childhood. It might be more recent. But it could also be an awareness as we look around and we look at the things in the world that take place, a part of a world that we have co-created together, and that we can feel the hurts and the wounds of the world that much more closely. And we feel ourselves powerless over how monumental it can feel to acknowledge where it is and whom it is and how it is that there are times of pain that do take place. And yet here comes Mercury direct. Here comes Mercury hand in hand with the North Node. And if anything is going to give us a whole other perspective that helps us to feel strong and singular and clear and powerful, it is Mercury conjunct the North Node and that Mercury going direct, where it is that we have felt as if we didn't know what a higher, more loving vision for the collective or for the individual or for our lives could possibly be. We just might be struck with inspiration now. But more than that, it is a moment of feeling more awake, feeling more alive, and getting a chance to get a glimpse at what a higher, more loving vision for our lives, individually and collectively, just might be. The North Node ultimately represents a place where we are invited to elevate the energy. We're more inclined to bring out the higher vibration of the sign that the North Node is in at any given time. Now, this is true in your own chart. So if you are a student of astrology, you know the sign of your North Node, and every sign has a spectrum of realization. It has a lower vibe and a higher vibration. Well, wherever the North Node is in your chart, you are more inclined to bring forward the higher vibration of that sign. But conversely, wherever it is that the South Node is, you're more inclined, if you are not operating from a place of consciousness, although that is the invitation to be conscious, but yeah, wherever the South Node is, chances are, well, you're more likely to bring out the lower vibration or to find yourself drawn to the lower vibration and the lower vibrational expression of that sign. And so when we have the transiting nodes, we go through these understandings as a collective and for a time. What is in your natal chart is what is with you as part of your learning throughout this lifetime. And the fact that as of late, as of this month, we have had such incredibly important conjunctions to the North Node taking place is significant. And it is going to be in May, next month, right around the corner, that we are going to get Mars moving over the North Node, Mars in its home sign. So whatever it is that's been taking place for us over the course of this month, and especially whatever it is that's taking place for us this week as part of Mercury direct, it is going to take on a whole other level of adrenaline, of certainty, of focus, of energy, and of excitement once we move a little bit further down the road. And I'll be here to talk about it every step of the way. Having said that, Mercury, this is mind. This is what we're talking about. And we are more likely to be talking about how it is that we as individuals can feel more powerful. We're more likely to be talking about what it is that helps us to feel strong and certain. As we begin this week, we have another important energy with us, and that is Venus meeting Chiron in the sky. Oof. Look, we've got the Sun square Pluto with precision on Sunday, but we also get this conjunction. Yeah, lots of feelings are going to be stirring out there about the self, but also about our own sense of worthiness. Now, of course, this is Venus, goddess of love. Some of the vulnerability that is likely to characterize this time as Venus meets the symbol of where it is that we feel most vulnerable, where it is that we feel most exposed, where it is that we feel as if there is this awareness that transpires as to what it is that has yet to be healed within us. And we can only know that when those wounds feel activated in some way. And having all of these energies transpire together, well, it is likely going to be, on the one hand, us looking at ourselves with the sun, but also looking at what it is that makes us lovable. And that just might feel difficult to answer now. In another time, with another sky, we might be able to find those answers readily and easily. But under this sky, it might feel more challenging. Venus is also representative of what it is that we consider beautiful. And resting our sense of us owning our unique beauty and finding peace within it is part of the work that this energy might ask us to do now. It's also possible that we are understanding love differently, more deeply. I will say this. There are certain connections that we will have with people that will have their own characteristics. And even though they may, in their own way, through their behavior, help us to understand certain things about ourselves, and they may get us to the same place as part of our own learning, as part of us moving towards a greater understanding of love in a higher sense, but also in a more personal and romantic sense. There are some people who do that in a way that feels really challenging, that has us feeling wide open. And then there are others who do that in a way that, yes, we still do the work, but it's at least more gentle. It's at least easier. Energy like this right out of the gate, well, it isn't easy. It isn't as gentle as I would like to see it. And I'm so sorry to say that, but that is part of the energy of this time. We might have experiences now in love that feel as if we are confronted with the barriers that we have built to love and what it is that they are now costing us. How it is that those barriers might just be draining us of power, of insight, of understanding, and how it is that they just might be keeping us from the depth of connection we actually desire. It could also be asking ourselves tough questions or wanting to change things. Ultimately, helps us to appreciate the depth of love that we already have so that we make the most of it as we connect with it and experience it more deeply at this time. Passions are stirring strongly. This is Venus meeting Chiron in the energy of Aries after all. And no matter what we do, no matter what we've done to make ourselves align with whatever it is that we think makes us more lovable, more rich, more prosperous, more beautiful, it just might not feel like enough as we are beginning this week, but I can tell you that it is more than enough. This is energy that helps us to honestly evaluate if that work that we all get to go through as part of living a full life, and a life where we move towards a higher sense of awareness and consciousness and individuation and greater love and greater wisdom. As part of that, some people, they may not hold the fact that they are a part of that journey with us with the reverence and gentleness that we actually deserve. And if we have people like that in our lives right now, we may become very aware of where it is that is where the feelings of unfairness are stirring for us now. But if it is that we do have that, if it is that we do have that safe space, that person who allows us to feel everything, and yet you feel that sense of respect and ease and safety, and they bring forward that learning in a way that doesn't feel like an attack, but rather feels like a pillow on which to land, well, we're going to be able to see that as well. And chances are, with energy like this, we will cherish that pillow, those connections, wherever it is that we find them. And they may be in places that we didn't expect or that we least expect. And yet they are valuable, incredibly valuable, for how it is that they connect us to an appreciation of our own value and our own lovability that much more. What I love about this week for us, there's so much here. It is a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. I would have to say all of this, really. I mean, it is such a massively important astrological week. But when you look at the fact that we do have some really complex feelings and emotions likely to be stirring for us coming to the surface, we have a sense of acknowledgement of where it is that we feel that things are not fair. And yet, what we also have is real breakthroughs. The full moon can have us all caught up in our feelings, and yet there is going to be a turning point that'll help us to feel just a little bit more calm, enough to get to Mercury direct. Although Mercury is conjunct the North Node this entire week, it is going to be on Thursday that Mercury officially goes direct. Whatever's happening this week will in some way hearken to, help you to see differently what was taking place in your life, going all the way back to March 19, give or take a few days on either side of that date. It might not be easy when we look at what we feel, what we think, what we're coming to understand. It might be challenging to look at the depth of conviction that is being asked to arise within us. But there's also a sense of us in some way aligning with better, aligning with more. That's the job of the North Node. Now, the North Node does operate as a doorway, right? So in a real way, people, places, things, situations enter, which represent karmic blessings. But the higher, more meta intention of the North Node is to pull our soul forward towards greater love and greater wisdom as part of the mystery. Sometimes it is absolute joy that does that, but other times it is through moments that feel unsure, that feel complicated, or even feel painful, that become part of aligning us with that very pathway. You know, one of the philosophers, mystics of the ancient world that I absolutely love was and is Sufi mystic Ibn Arabi. I wrote my dissertation on him, so I know I mention him from time to time here on my YouTube channel because I remember how hard graduate school was. It was hard. And I remember when I was doing that thesis, I remember like sending him a prayer and saying, if you help me get this degree, I will talk about you. I will talk about you whenever I can. And I find ways to do that. And I'm going to do that right now because one of his ideas coming to the surface for me is this understanding that when we, as astrologers, are to look at the sky or to look at the chart, it is ultimately an act of contemplation and an act of meditation. And it is not for us to know everything because we are not ultimately meant to be anything else than human. We are human for a reason. And as much as the human experience can be divine and magical and an embodiment of energy of love and wisdom and the energy that he called God itself, at the same time, we are still just human. However, when it is that we have done our own work, when it is that we have done the preparation, when it is that we have done the spiritual work and we've searched ourselves and sought to be honest with ourselves, and we come to the chart and we come to the sky ready, it is in those moments that through grace, we get a glimpse. That's it. We get a glimpse. If we're lucky, we will have moments of getting a glimpse into exactly what it is that a higher, more loving vision for our life just might be. We get a glimpse into a depth of understanding as to what in a higher, more loving vision of our creation, exactly what it is that we are meant to do in this lifetime. And we have such a week that may just grant us that kind of glimpse now. And it may not come on as a revelation necessarily, but rather it is through moving through a sense of challenge, but a sense of willingness, a frustration, but also a willingness to do the work that change sometimes requires, that we just might hit this sweet spot where we understand some truth about who we are, why it is that we just might be in this incarnation now, and how it is that we can embody that very vision that much more fully. And it is in those moments that we become truly powerful, because we meet the chart and we meet the sky with enough humility to know that there is something greater, but also something great that we are created for, collectively and individually. It is this week that is a portal to power, to personal understanding, but also massive karmic blessings, if we only will allow ourselves to trust the journey there. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares with thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded exclusive video scopes each and every week for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University has some absolutely incredible programs starting next week in May. We are right around the corner, and this is the last full week to choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class, an unheard of rate to learn from this caliber of astrologer with Synchronicity University's world famous choose your tuition rate. I'm going to start with my own class that I am going to be presenting this May. And that is the definitive relationship course. We are going to understand the astrology of relationships and love in particular in all kinds of ways now. And I have had a chance to hone some of these techniques. I have seen in my own practice and also in my own life, especially these last couple of years, what is most effective. And I'm going to be teaching all of that to you here in a way that's going to be easy to grasp, but also easy to integrate as well as you boost your skills in understanding love and astrology. And so we're going to have a class on how to predict when love might arrive, how to predict the end of love, how to look at synastry charts, looking at composite charts, Davison charts, and so much more here. We are going to look at what it is that you need to feel loved and what love is for you, what desire is for you, how you attract Understanding all these different layers becomes part of a more complete picture of understanding love before it arrives, when you have it, and when it is that it might have just served its purpose and needs to become something else or become something more or transition your learning in a different direction as you move forward in your own journey towards greater love and greater wisdom. We're going to cover all of that and so much more over the course of 5 weeks this May, right around the corner. Next week, you've got just about a week left to choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class, only at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University presents the one and only ALEJO LOPEZ. Yes, ALEJO is brilliant. He is coming back to Synchronicity University, and you've got just a week left to choose your tuition rate to learn from ALEJO, a master teacher, and he's going to be teaching a topic that has been so widely requested. This is midpoints, harmonics, aspects. Understanding these in astrology will just take your skills to a whole other level. Now, ALEJO is a teacher with and on the faculty of the Faculty of Astrological Studies. This is a premier and incredibly renowned astrological institution recognized around the world for the excellence of the learning, the classes, and teachers. And so, ALEJO being on the Faculty of Astrological Studies, he's an excellent teacher, and he's going to help you to understand these various aspects of astrology topics that so many have been asking for. Midpoints will take your understanding of prediction to a whole other level. They will add another layer to how you understand your chart. And it is additional aspects that you're going to be looking at beyond just the traditional Ptolemaic aspects that I normally look at. Everything from quintile and biquintiles and so much more you'll be learning from him. And understanding harmonics as well. Harmonic charts is something that you're going to learn with ALEJO also. This is a class not to miss. These are more intermediate to advanced techniques, but even as a beginner, you will be able to grasp this and feel as if you really become that much better an astrologer over the course of 5 weeks, learning from the one and only ALEJO LOPEZ. You've got about a week left to choose your tuition rate. As low as just $5 a class, only at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University presents the one and only, the living legend, Michael Luton. Now, Michael's previous program featuring his favorite techniques for prediction, for horoscope analysis, well, that class was a huge hit. The most popular class we've ever had at Synchronicity University. There were about 500 people who showed up for that class. It was massive. And that was right when we were in the pandemic as well. So he taught that a couple of years ago. And now it is Michael who is kind enough to offer this course with that as low as just $5 a class rate, which was really very nice of him. But in addition to that, you are also going to get a bonus live Q&A session with me and Michael Luton to take place in the month of May as well. So you can see here, there's a lot to look forward to. Now, when you get these recordings, which will be released on the 1st of May as we finish this promotional period, well, with those recordings, you're going to see that at the beginning, this was the first time that Michael had ever taught or used the Zoom platform. He was having a bit of a learning curve. He had moments of frustration, and yet students were saying how much they still learned because he is just that brilliant. Now, Michael Luton is someone that I have, as a professional astrologer, continued to pay to learn from, because every time I've taken a workshop from him or listened in on a talk of his, I have come away a better astrologer. And he's one of the few people that I continue to learn from to this day. And so this is a course pack that is special. Yes, the first couple courses, be patient with Michael Luton. You're going to hear the frustration, but I think a lot of us were feeling it at that time, but you're also going to learn a lot. And then the last 2 classes as part of that course pack, I'm there co-hosting, guiding him at that time. It became a lot smoother. And we are going to have a live Q&A now with Michael Luton, having had learned a lot more about Zoom, having had used Zoom a lot more over these last couple of years. He is a pro at it now, but I'm going to be there. I'm going to be facilitating and co-hosting a live Q&A. So that's going to take place in the month of May. Those who sign up are going to know about it, but you do have to sign up for this very special class package. Learn from the one and only Michael Luton, his favorite techniques of prediction and of horoscope analysis, available for just $5 a class, only at synchronicityuniversity.com. Learn more and sign up now. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University has an absolutely incredible speaker series coming up, and we've got 5 amazing astrologers for May, and you've got about a week left to choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class to learn from this caliber of incredible astrologer. And you know, if you have attended previous speaker series, I always try to have at least one big dog and put them on the same stage as up and coming big dogs or people who certainly are making a splash and superstars in their own right. Well, this series, we have an incredibly big dog. I am so excited about this. The one and only Gemini Brett is coming to Synchronicity University as part of the May 2024 speaker series. Now, Gemini Brett does and practices what he termed embodied astronomy. And he is very much about helping you to understand the astrological symbolism by actually connecting to the sky and understanding the astronomy to it and how that fuels astrological understanding and learning. His talk is going to be on the void of course moon, a topic that I know lots of people want to know more about, what it is, what's going on, what it means astrologically, and how to understand its power for yourself. And so, Gemini Brett, this is huge, coming to Synchronicity University. You can learn more about his class as you click on the link below. Shelly Stearns is someone that I know you've seen on my channel before. I love her as an astrologer, and she's going to be teaching on the second house in astrology, helping you to understand the power of money you earn, money you spend, and the richness of the second house and prosperity and so much more. Marcia Ferrienza is going to be teaching about Chiron in astrology. Marcia is somebody that I also love as an astrologer. She's an American citizen, has been for a really long time, originally from Brazil. She does these incredible videos online in Portuguese, and now she's starting to branch out into English. And considering how active Chiron is right about now, and is set to be this week and moving forward once Mercury meets Chiron, and I'll be here to talk about it as we get there. Yeah, this is a really strong symbolism to come to understand, and she's going to help you to do just that. Timon Harwood is going to be talking about the triplicity of the earth signs. Now, this is a talk that he gave at the Canadian Astrology Conference, which took place last year in Calgary. I was there. He was there as well, and now he's bringing that talk to Synchronicity University, helping you to understand where earth signs are in your chart and how to maximize their potential. And Jesse Innocent will be teaching on astrology as science and art. Yes, he's going to take somewhat of a philosophical approach, but let me tell you, there are a lot of real predictive techniques he's going to offer as well to understand the karma playing out in the chart and how it is that those lessons might show up for you as you move towards your greater evolution. So you can see here, amazing teachers, incredible topics as part of the May 2024 speaker series. Learn more and sign up now. Links are in the description below. And thank you. Thank you so much for this moment with you. Thank you for your trust. I'm so grateful for it. I hope that you will join us for this amazing synchronicity sessions that are coming up in May. I know I'm looking forward to teaching, and all of these amazing astrologers are as well. And I just love this moment with you. I'm so grateful for that also. So thank you again for your trust and your love and all the energy that you bring and seeing me as part of your journey. I'm so grateful for it. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.